What's up? I'm going to make another video about how I make my coffee in the morning because I had a few requests asking me exactly how to do it, like step by step. I guess I wasn't clear enough in one of my other videos, so I don't mind redoing this. But I'll show you step by step how I do it and give you a little explanation about each thing that I add to my coffee. It's really simple. Anybody can do this. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing over the top. In fact, I think it's easier than making regular coffee, and it's better for you. It's healthier for you. It actually is a functional drink, so it can serve as your breakfast and your coffee all in one. Alright, so what I do is I start off with my favorite coffee. I get this from Trader Joe's. It's this right here. You can use whatever you want to. Just make sure when you grind up your coffee beans that they're ground up coarse. They need to be coarse because when you go to strain the coffee, which you'll see here in a minute, you're going to need that coffee to not go through the filter. So there's many different methods here to this madness. You can do whatever you want, improvise however you want to. I'm just going to show you what I do. I try to keep things as simple as possible, so just follow along. You'll see. Alright, so we've got this here. What I do is I've got just some mason jars. I've got a bunch of mason jars laying around. I've got some old honey jars that are laying around. I love jars. I save them, so I use them for everything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with, I'm going to use 4 scoops of coffee here per each 32-ounce jar. So I'm going to put 4 scoops in each. Okay? And this is an alternative to using a French press or another method to doing cold brew coffee. A lot of times people think making cold brew coffee is like just making coffee normal and then pouring it over ice or putting it in the refrigerator. That is not cold brew coffee. It's cold brewed, so it actually prepares itself without the heat. It marinates for 12 to 24 hours. So if you just take hot coffee and pour it over ice, or you chill it after you've prepared it, it's going to have a very different taste. It's much more acidic, whereas cold brew coffee is lighter. It's just a softer tone to it, and it's just going to make your coffee that you're probably used to drinking taste very different. It's much more pleasant. I don't like hot coffee. I'll have it every now and then. I'll have an espresso every now and then, but I don't normally drink hot coffee. I just don't really like it too much. So I'm just making a couple here. I've got 4 scoops in each jar, and then we're going to fill that with water. I recommend that you use filtered water or spring water. Alright, you're just going to fill your jar all the way. Alright. Cap it. And then pop that in the fridge. It's going to stay in the fridge for at least 12 hours. But up to 24. Now, if you leave it in there longer, all that's going to happen is it's going to get stronger. Now, it's going to reach its full capacity, around the 24-hour mark, a little bit beyond that. It will get a little stronger, a little bit more potent, but you got to play around with it, see what you like. I have let mine sit in the fridge for 3 days, and it's fine. It's strong, but it's fine. It tastes good. Alright, so those will go in the fridge, and they will chill for a little bit. Alright, so then what the finished product is something like this. Alright, all my coffee grounds are in there. So what I'm going to do is because I'm going to blend this in a blender. I've got my blender. I've got just a strainer. Alright, you guys should be able to see this. I'm just going to pour this through the strainer. Alright, so you remember why I said you want to have your coffee grounds to be coarse. A lot's going to stay in the bottom here, but you see all these coffee grounds? That's your coffee grounds right there. So this will help catch that. If they're ground up too fine, they're going to go through the filter and they're going to get into the drink and it's not going to work. This is an alternative to using a French press. Okay, a French press is when you put your coffee through into the container here, and then you add your water and then you'll press it down when it's ready and it'll filter it that way. You're going to end up with the same product. Alright, this is, I would say, the poor man's way of doing so. Alright, so I've got all my coffee. This is 32 ounces of coffee here. This is a lot of coffee. This is 4 cups of coffee. It's maybe not a lot for some of you. It's enough for me that it's going to like jolt my brain. That's what I want. So, different ways that I go about doing this, but 90% of the time I do add protein powder to it. And the reason why is because it just makes sense to me. I want that additional protein. The goal is to build lean muscle. The goal here for me is to keep body fat low, build lean muscle, and having the protein present is going to do that. When you're just drinking coffee, that's fine. But I have just an attraction to making something more functional, and so that's my rationale behind doing that. You do it however you want. So you could be finished at this point and just drink it. What I'm going to do next is up to you. So I'm going to pop this up on here. I use something called Captri. It's an MCT oil. MCT oils are they're derived from coconut. The reason I use this one is because of its quality. This is the highest quality on the market. You know, it's not even up for debate. This is just pure MCT. MCT is a medium chain triglyceride. It's a medium chain fatty acid. Most fatty acids that are in other foods, when you think of fat, they're long chain fatty acids. They have a tendency to be stored as fat, as well as they're a little bit more, they take a little bit more effort to be metabolized, whereas an MCT, it's a smaller chain of fatty acids, is utilized in the body more so like a carbohydrate would be without spiking the insulin. So when you're using this, it's a great energy source. That's the bottom line. That's the takeaway, okay? This is something that's going to be used as a source of energy by the body very readily. And the other benefits they're finding with MCT, this research has been done for many, many, many years. They're using it a lot in Canada, actually, for helping with dementia, helping to feed the brain, and just help with cognition. So there's a lot of health benefits to this. The reason why athletes use this and bodybuilders use this and people in the fitness industry use this is because, again, it's a great energy source. I'm going to put this in my coffee because it's going to blend up and it's just going to add a little bit of a creamy texture to it. This is a clear oil. I'll show you. And it has no taste to it, so it doesn't really change the taste of the coffee, but it does change the texture. I'm going to put 3 tablespoons, so you can see it's clear. This is a lot of oil. When you first start off with this oil, you're only going to be able to tolerate, I promise you, 1 tablespoon. If you take too much of it, it doesn't harm you in any way, but it will cause gut cramping. It is assimilated so quickly through the digestive system that if you take too much, you're going to cramp, you're going to feel it, you're going to run to the bathroom. So you don't want that to happen. It takes a little bit of time to acclimate to it, to get used to it, but it's fantastic stuff. I've used this stuff for 25 years. It was one of the first supplements that I ever used when I was about 15 years old. It was introduced to me. I thought it was crazy. Supplements were something I had never heard about other than Fred Flintstone vitamins, you know. But yeah, now they're a huge part of my daily life. So I'm going to throw this into my coffee. And before I add my protein powder, I want to blend this up first. There's just a difference in blending it up first prior to adding the protein versus doing it all at once. It's just something, if you try it, you'll see the texture is very different. The coffee and the MCTs just sort of have a nice synergy together when you mix them up by themselves. Plus, I'll show you what it's like with just the MCT. If you're not going to add protein powder, I do think it's an awesome idea just to add the MCT. You may have heard of something called Bulletproof coffee. Very popular. I think some of the Starbucks venues are doing it, but it's very beneficial. It's something that's got a great effect on your mind, your overall energy and mood. So MCTs are awesome, you guys. It's not just for an athlete, it's for really anybody, and I would urge you to look more into it. And again, if you really want to get the best source of it, Cap-Tri, made by Perillo Performance, is the one I would go with. I mean, like I say this all the time, I have access to any brand that's out there, and this is what I use. So I'm not saying you have to take my word for it, but take my word for it. Why not? I can use whatever I want to. I'm using this. Alright. So you look, when you blend up the MCT with the coffee, it kind of lightens it. It gives it a creamy texture. It tastes really good too. And the thing is, like I say, it doesn't have a flavor to it, but just adding that creaminess to it, it just really, I don't know. It brings out the tones of the coffee, the flowery essence and stuff. I don't know. But it's awesome. So you could stop here and just use this, but I'm going to add some protein powder to mine, which ends up giving me a nice, like, frappuccino type of fancy little beverage. The only protein powder that I use is NutraBio Muscle Matrix Protein. I do use some of their other proteins. This is the brand I recommend to all of my clients. The reason behind this, if you're not following along with me, is because of the quality, the grade of protein, and the guarantee that you're getting what you're paying for. When you look at the labels on these products here by NutraBio, there's truth in labeling. What you see is what you get. There's nothing hidden. There's no proprietary blends. This is a pure product. So the thing is that's awesome about them is that you're not paying a premium price for a premium product. Most of the products that you find that are out in the market, you're paying a premium price for a garbage product. And not all products are garbage, so I don't want to leave it at that. But I do want to say this. Most products are marketed, that's where the money goes, and then you end up with an inferior product. They don't do that with their money. They don't take their money and blast it into marketing. The products speak for themselves. The quality is there. And when you try these and you compare them to another product, I promise you, you're going to see the difference. Every time I've done a challenge with somebody and they've actually followed through, the feedback is always unanimous. And again, I just urge you to try it. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to make this a protein video or a NutraBio video. It's for another time. So for my coffee, I'm going to add, well, let's add 1 scoop of this. I don't want my coffee to be like really thick. I don't want it to be like a milkshake. I still want it to be like coffee, but I'm just going to add that protein boost to it. So this is going to give you about 25 grams of protein to the coffee. So just think about that for a second. Like when you're on the go, you're getting ready in the morning, most of the time that's when you have your coffee, or you're doing it on, you're drinking it on the way to work, or you're doing it when you get to work, or even if it's middle of the day. Oftentimes, people do not have access to or make the best choices when it comes to what they have in the morning, and people are grabbing Pop-Tarts, and they're grabbing Danishes, and they're going to Starbucks, and they're standing there and they're getting a cookie or a muffin and their coffee. The problem is when you start to do that kind of thing and you get into a habit of doing that, you're going to be eating a lot of crap, alright? Plain and simple. You're going to be going there, getting your coffee, and even if you get a plain coffee and then you have a muffin with it, you've just added a bunch of fat, you've added a bunch of sugar, and it's all dysfunctional ingredients. They don't have a lot of benefit to your body. So coffee in and of itself is not bad, but when you start to drink coffee on a regular basis, daily, along with bad eating, along with poor lifestyle habits, alright, let's just keep it there, there's just an effect that over time it's going to cause a lot of stress and damage and inflammation in your system. So what I'm saying here is by adding the protein to your coffee, you're going to be able to add a functional component to your morning routine. So you're going to be getting your protein, it's going to give you those amino acids, it's going to give you all that fuel that you need to actually build lean muscle, help with strength, help with your thinking throughout the day. You'll notice that throughout the day you just have more mental energy as well as physical energy. And then that way the caffeine and the stimulant properties of the coffee aren't so stressful to your system. When you're drinking coffee just in and of itself day after day with all the sugars and all the carbs and all that other added junk, you're just blasting cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, through the roof, and over time is going to cause a lot of stress and damage to your system. So it's just something to think about, something to be mindful of. I'm not telling you how to live, but I want you to be mindful of it because it's going to make an impact on your life. And these are little things that you can do every day. Trust me, I understand that things get hectic and, you know, things can be overwhelming, but they don't have to be impossible. This is just one little trick, one little tip, something I do that I'm sharing with you. Alright, so let's blend this up, see what we come up with. Alrighty. Where's my cup? Let's see, I have mason jars everywhere. Alright, so this is what we end up with. I used chocolate protein powder, by the way. You can use whatever flavor you'd like. Vanilla, and there's some other fancy flavors. Alright, so look at that. It's like if you made coffee and added creamer. It's like if you made coffee and you added some sugar or sweetener. But instead, you've made your coffee without heat. You've added an amazing protein blend to it. This is a food. This is now food. This is breakfast. All in one. So, I know I did a ton of talking, but if you did this really quickly, even if you had to put it in a shaker bottle, you could, and just whip it up. But I'm telling you what, take 3 minutes in the morning just to prepare something like this. It's going to make all the difference in the world. The other perk is it's going to save you a ton of money from hitting up Starbucks, hitting up these little coffee shops, and it's going to save you money. And it's so good. Here, try some. I wish you could, but I probably wouldn't share my coffee with you because it's mine. I need it. I need all 25 grams of protein. Alright guys, enough goofing off. This video went way longer than I intended it to, but I hope you learned something. If you want to know more, hit me up, send me a message. Check out my website at nuclearnutritioncenter.com. And if you have any questions, if you'd like a video, tutorial, or anything at all, just hit me up, let me know. I love to do this stuff for you guys. Alright, peace. Be awesome always. Talk to you later.